Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to the DRF Breeding Report. I'm Dan Illman, along with Nicole Russo, and this week we're going to begin a three-part series on recapping the 2017 leading sires by Beyer Sire Performance. And Nicole, let's discuss what are the Beyer Sire Performance Ratings and why they might be a preferred metric over the conventional earning system.
Well, sure. I think the Beyer Sire Performance Standings, which are exclusive to daily racing form and which are now available in a sortable online format recently, I think they allow you to take a closer look at the context of a stallion's overall record in a season or in a category. The traditional ways to evaluate stallions are by, earnings. We always talk about the earnings list. But in modern racing, those lists can really be a bit skewed. Of course, you have massive purses out there at top levels now, like the Pegasus World Cup, which in a few weeks will be run at $16 million, the Dubai World Cup, the Breeders' Cup Classic. Even at lower levels, some circuits or some races are fueled by, slots-driven purses on various circuits. And, those allow results to be a little skewed, especially if a stallion has a breakout horse who is succeeding in some of those high-level races. And this year, I think in particular, the Beyer Sire Performance Standings are really interesting because you did have horses like that fueling the earnings list. Not that Unbridled Song with Arrogate or Candy Ride with Gunrunner were one-hit wonders by any means. Each had additional Grade 1 winners in 2017. But the Beyer Sire Performance Standings do surface some other stallions who maybe flew under the radar with very good years. And because they allow you to measure percentages, and because buyers are assigned to every horse in a race, they allow you to drill a bit down deeper into the overall context of a stallion's performance, particularly for those stallions who might have had fewer runners, but where the runners are running at a high level. And for a horse like Warfront, who we'll discuss, Claiborne Farm has always been very careful about managing their stallions' books. They don't breed the number of mares that some of these other stallions might. The percentages really tell the story for Warfront. It's just another tool, an additional context to look at a stallion.
Well, let's put up the earnings, the North American earning list, the top 10 sires, and this is exactly what Nicole is talking about. The number one stallion is Candy Ride, certainly fueled by Gunrunner's sensational Horse of the Year season, winning the Breeders' Cup Classic. Unbridled Song, fueled by Arrogate, winning, of course, the Pegasus World Cup. And these rankings don't even factor in Arrogate's performance in the Dubai World Cup. And then the standby Tappet, number 3, Medallia DOro 4, Kitten's Joy, Malibu Moon, Ghost Zapper, Curlin, Quality Road, and Into Mischief. That's the top 10. In contrast, let's take a look at the top 10 sire by total Beyer races. These are the total amount of races in which these horses' progeny earned Beyer speed figures of 90 or greater. And we do see Candy Ride among the list, but he is number 5, and Unbridled Song is not in the top 10 list at all. And Warfront, who not only led this list, but was first on the turf list, first on the filly and mare list. Again, these are sortable at drf.com/breeding. It really shows that Warfront, while perhaps not getting the headlines of a Candy Ride or Unbridled Song, is truly an elite stallion.
Right. And again, buyers are assigned to every horse in a race, and perhaps Warfront not grabbing the headlines because the runners who earned some of his highest buyers in 2017, Lancaster Bomber and Designed for a War, actually ran those in very good placings in graded stakes company. So those weren't necessarily the headline horses, but Warfront just steady quality across the board at an elite level, and that's what I think it shows. And again, certainly it's no knock on Candy Ride or Unbridled Song. Candy Ride with additional Grade 1 winners like Ascend and Separation of Powers out there in 2017. Unbridled Song likely to have an Eclipse Award winner in a few weeks, and Distaff winner Forever Unbridled. Neither was a one-hit wonder. But again, with those purses out there. The two of them are simply untouchable on top of the earnings list. So this is just another way to look at those stallions who, as you said, maybe didn't grab the headlines. Context is kind of the watchword for me.
Certainly, something for breeders to consider, but also horse players, where they again could sort these figures and take a look which stallions really do get exceptional performers from 2-year-olds, or turf, or dirt sprints, or even on synthetic. They are all sortable at drf.com/breeding. Now let's talk about a couple of these leading stallions, and we'll begin with number 10. That is Curlin, and we'll take a look at Curlin's sire profile card. Curlin, of course, stands for $150,000 this year at Hill and Dale. His progeny ran 54 races where they earned Beyer speed figures of 90 or greater, 12% from all starters, and perhaps most impressive, 13 races Curlin progeny earned 100 plus Beyer speed figures, 10 million in earnings. He was 8th on the earnings list, 10th from a Beyer Sire 90 plus rating, and just a very, very, very consistent and good performer.
Yeah, and Curlin, we know him for his route dirt performances, both as a racehorse and as a stallion. He's actually got the top number of 100 plus Beyers in that dirt route category. Keen Ice, who I think we're going to discuss in a minute, is a great example. Classic place in the Belmont and winner of the Traverse in 1.25 miles as a 3-year-old, and continuing on to run well in prominent route events again in 2017.
And let's take a look at Keen Ice winning the Suburban, and this is Curlin. He gets good 2-year-olds, but he also gets horses that develop as they mature and get an opportunity to stretch out in distance. Keen Ice really wanted every step of 1.25 miles. He was a good, hardy performer, perhaps overshadowed by the American Pharaohs and Arrogates and California Chromes in the world, but you gave him the right field in 1.25 miles, and he would run some excellent races.
Yeah, and Curlin, of course, also had stellar wind out there. Multiple champion 3-year-old a couple years back, multiple Grade 1 winner again in 2017. She was another one who got better as she gained experience, as she got older. But Curlin, I think as he's developed into an elite stallion, perhaps getting some really quality mares as he moves deeper into his stud career. And this year he broke out with, some really good 2-year-olds. Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner Good Magic, of course, and multiple Grade 1 placed Solimini. He's positioned very well moving into the spring 3-year-old classic prep season. And Curlin's book for 2018, again, really reflects that he's climbed into those elite stallion ranks. Mares that are booked to him include Grade 1 winners Constellation, Dickinson, a turf mare, perhaps looking to tap into that smart strike line via Curlin, and Canadian horse of the year Karen.
Let's move on to the number 9, Medallia DOro. 58 races. Medallia DOro's progeny earned Beyer speed figures of 90 or greater. He was 4th on the earnings list. He stands for a $250,000 stud fee in 2018 at Darley in Kentucky. His highest Beyer performer, we're going to take a look at him right now, is Talismanic, the winner of the Breeders' Cup Turf. Just a perfect trip and ride inside out. Talismanic on the big day came up big.
Yeah, and Breeders' Cup weekend really, truly showcased Medallia DOro's versatility. Talismanic winning the Breeders' Cup Turf, going 1.5 miles, and then another Breeders' Cup winner on the weekend in Bar of Gold, winning the Sicilian Mare Sprint on the dirt. Medallia DOro, a son of El Prado, just that versatility in his sire line. They win on turf, on dirt, going short, going long. His other Grade 1 winners in 2017, Elate, Songbird, DOro, New Money Honey, Dickinson, just quality everywhere. He's getting a fee bump deservedly to $250,000 in 2018, and his book already includes Kentucky Oaks winner Lemons Forever, the dam of Breeders' Cup Distaff winner Forever Unbridled, as well as Grade 1 winner Unbridled Forever. So Medallia DOro, really, the future looks bright for him on a number of fronts, especially with those very good 2-year-olds, Bolt DOro and Moonshine Memories out there.
The late stallion Scat Daddy was number 8 in 2017, 60 races with Beyer speed figures of 90 or greater. But let's take a look at Quality Road. And we've discussed Quality Road many times on the Breeding Report as a horse that has really just broken out over the last couple of years, and he'll stand for a $70,000 fee at Lane's End in Kentucky. His highest Beyer performer was the hard-hitting older handicap runner Follow Me Crev. But it's interesting when you sort through the Beyer Sire Performance Ratings that Quality Road was the leading sire of 3-year-olds from a Beyer 90-plus performance standpoint. So that's pretty impressive. And again, this is one of the examples of the under-the-radar stallions that you'll see by these metrics.
Oh, absolutely, because Quality Road really had a career year in 2017, leading that 3-year-old category, as you mentioned. Of course, with Kentucky Oaks winner Abel Tasman out there, she's likely to be an Eclipse Award champion, 3-time Grade 1 winner in 2017, ran a very good second against Older in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. Quality Road had a Breeders' Cup winner in Caledonia Road in the Juvenile Fillies, got another Grade 1 winner in the waning days of 2017 in Malibu winner City of Light. Graded winners out there like Salty, Road to Victory, Illuminant, a career year for this very good stallion.
Next week, we'll be back on the Breeding Report to talk about stallions like Malibu Moon and Candy Ride, big names, but also a horse that was not on the top 10 sire list by North American earnings, but really had a big year from a Beyer Sire standpoint. We'll get to Giants Causeway. You can follow Nicole on Twitter at DRF Russo, and also all the latest breeding news and notes on Twitter at DRF Breeding. And you can access the Beyer Sire Performance Ratings at drf.com/breeding. We'll see you next week.